small as a quarter, but it can be the key to cracking a case wide open.
If we didn't examine that piece of plastic further, we probably would not have solved that.
It is harder than you could ever imagine for a criminal to get away with a crime without leaving so much as a trace.
And it's just that, trace evidence that can be crucial in solving cases. We're talking fibers, paint chips, glass fragments, tiny clues you'd never suspect. News 5 anchor Tracy Carlos has the story all new at 11. And Tracy, you spoke with forensic scientists at BCI who are helping police solve cases across the state every day.
Yeah, Danita and Rob, they have helped solve thousands of cases over the years, and it's the smallest pieces of evidence that can play a big part in solving many different types of crimes.
One morning, Tracy Tomko left for her daily run and never came home. The 22-year-old's death a mystery to Akron police.
You can say you don't take things personal, but you do become vested in a case.
Lieutenant Brian Oldacre was vested. He wasn't about to let this case go cold.
We exhausted really everything we had.
At first, police weren't sure how the young financial analyst was killed. They knew it happened in the morning of August 11th, 2000, but not how. Those answers were about to become clear. Tiny pieces of evidence told police that she had been hit by a car. But instead of helping her, her killer dragged her body into the wooded area near her apartment.
And laid her face down in the puddle, and she ended up drowning.
Trace evidence was all that was left behind, shards of glass and
this little plastic piece.
Plastic from the car, and that would turn out to be the key in unlocking this mystery.
If we didn't examine that piece of plastic further, we probably would not have solved that.
From that tiny piece of plastic, Oldacre discovered the car was an early 1990s Ford Tempo. But that was a different make and model than they had spent months looking for. Within hours of this new discovery, a police officer on patrol spotted a Ford Tempo with a missing piece of plastic.
We did discover that our suspect had gone out of state and had his windshield replaced in West Virginia, and we followed up and got the records of the dates, and of course then we matched those up, and at that point that interview with him also led to a confession.
Trace evidence solved this case, and it is so important that the state's Bureau of Criminal Investigation has forensic scientists who specialize in it. Suzanne Elliott is one of the trace evidence examiners.
When a perpetrator comes into an environment and encounters a victim or a scene, they leave something behind or they take something with them. And hopefully trace evidence's job is to try to match those up.
Police departments statewide send BCI their trace evidence in hopes of cracking cases. Elliott helps solve crimes through impression evidence like shoe prints, paint comparison, glass, tape, and more.
I've had a number of cases where there were very big aha moments where things came together and you thought, okay, this is it.
While there have been huge advancements in DNA, DNA is not always left behind. And that's when investigators hope they find the tried and true trace evidence.
The traditional forms of the trace evidence are still valuable as they've ever been.
In cracking cases, providing leads, and giving victims and their families answers.
Now, the man who killed Tracy Tomko pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced and served 10 years in prison. Tracy Carlos, News 5.
New at 11.